πρόθεσή του να είναι ο επόμενος γενικός γραμματέας του ΟΗΕ επιβεβαιώνει στη συνέντευξή του στο euronews ο επικεφαλής της Διεθνούς Υπηρεσίας Ατομικής Ενέργειας, Γκρόσι, που επισκέφθηκε την Αθήνα. Ο κ. Γκρόσι είχε συναντήσεις με τον Πρωθυπουργό, με σειρά υπουργών, αλλά και παράγοντες της οικονομίας. Είχε την ευκαιρία να τους ενημερώσει για την κατάσταση που επικρατεί στις πυρηνικές εγκαταστάσεις της Ουκρανίας, αλλά και για τις εξελίξεις στις συνομιλίες Ουάσινγκτον-Τεχεράνης για τα πυρηνικά. Παράλληλα, είχε την ευκαιρία να συνομιλήσει με παράγοντες της ναυτιλίας για την αξιοποίηση της πυρηνικής ενέργειας. Μιλώντας στο euronews, ο κ. Γκρόσι αναφέρεται στην προσπάθεια της Διεθνούς Υπηρεσίας Ατομικής Ενέργειας να βρίσκεται σε διάλογο με Τεχεράνη και Μόσχα με στόχο τη συνεργασία για την ασφάλεια των πυρηνικών.
Hello and welcome to Euronews. The US and Iran have been discussing lately on Tehran's nuclear program. How do you see these talks?
I think it's important that these talks take place. It has been one of those issues that have been recurrently in the international agenda without finding a viable solution that will give credible assurances that all nuclear activities in Iran and in peaceful uses. There are some concerns about what is going on there. The IEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency that I lead, has been involved in this process for a long time. And now we have also this important process, bilateral process, between the United States and Iran, aiming at having some sort of a deal. They are in the process of negotiating. We cannot know whether these are going to be successful or not, but I think the fact itself that there is a process, that there is a negotiation, that there is an ongoing negotiation is good.
Are you optimistic about the outcome? And I would like to ask you if you think that there is enough political will from the two sides for a positive outcome.
What has changed is that this president that withdrew from a previous agreement which he and his administration was finding not adequate or not appropriate has taken the initiative to reach out to Iran and say, well, let's sit down and look at what could be an agreement that we can both sustain over time. So I think in this perspective, it is positive. I believe that, of course, there are difficulties. It's a very complex matter. But when you ask me whether we are optimistic or not, I think there is one very interesting thing that I would like to say here, is that we see that both sides continue to say that they want an agreement. This may seem obvious, but it's not so. Sometimes we see in difficult problems in international politics that people sit down together without knowing if they really want an agreement. Here we see both sides saying, yes, we would like to go towards an agreement. Of course, there are difficulties. Of course, it's a very complex matter. But the willingness to have a diplomatic solution is there.
So you say that there's enough political will from the two sides. You said that your organization is somehow involved in this. How are you involved in this ongoing?
Well, not formally, as I say, because it's their negotiation. I don't want to create any confusion. They are negotiating, but of course, as you can imagine, a negotiation on a technical matter like this, to be credible, to be solid, must be verifiable. Otherwise, what you have is an illusion of an agreement or a manifestation of a wish to have an agreement. If we don't have a very robust, a very strong verification, monitoring system that is going to be proving that what Iran says it is going to be doing is done, then you don't have a real agreement. And this is why there is a sense in both sides that the IEA will have to be involved in this. And of course, at this point, informally, we share ideas, we talk about some technical options, as you can imagine.
What is your information about Iran's nuclear program right now?
Well, the IEA is present in Iran. Everybody talks, but we are there. We are inspecting Iran, we are present, we have, I would say, fair to say that it was one of the biggest verification efforts that the IEA has. It's commensurate, of course, with the dimension, the ambition of this program. The program moves on, but at the same time, there are some elements that make us be very careful about it. Let me mention a couple. First is that Iran is enriching uranium at a very, very high level. Enriching uranium is not forbidden per se, but Iran, at the same time, and it's a public thing, is the only country in the world, apart from those who have nuclear weapons, that is enriching uranium at these very, very high levels and continues to do that. And there is an international concern. They may say, we can do it, it's not forbidden. Yes, you can say that, but at the same time, you cannot deny that this is a source of concern. This is one thing. And the other thing is that there are, although we inspect and to a certain extent there is cooperation, there are also a number of questions, important questions, Iran is not properly addressing with us. Let me give you examples. We have found traces of enriched uranium in places that were not supposed to be having any, let alone enriched uranium, any nuclear activity. So it's very simple. We don't have a political agenda here. We're asking them, why did I find this here? What was happening here that I found enriched uranium here? Where is the equipment that you were using here? What was the activity? And this process has taken now almost 5 years without us getting the necessary clarifications. So what we say is that we need total transparency. Without this confidence, and they tell me, and of course I don't doubt that, but they have to substantiate these affirmations, these words, with proof.
Do you think that a possible deal between Tehran and Washington could contribute to the transparency that you say is needed?
I think it's undeniable that now everything is interconnected. Or let me put it differently. For a good agreement between Iran and the United States to take place, then all these things must also be clarified. Otherwise, how could I, as the nuclear watchdog in the world, certify that what Iran says it has, it is really what they have? If I have indications that there might be more nuclear material, there might be more equipment here or there. So transparency here is like a prerequisite for anything durable, sustainable, real.
And let's go to Ukraine. This is another source of concern here in Europe. What is your information? You go there very often. What is your information about the situation on the ground, about the situation of the nuclear plants there right now?
Go there very often. Next week I will be in Kyiv again, and I will be visiting Russia as well, because I keep a constant dialogue with both. This facility is controlled by Russia. This is a reality. So we need to keep a balance in this dialogue between the two sides. And let's not forget that there is active combat still, as we speak, in this area, and that the nuclear power plant is on the front line, almost on the front line, which makes it extremely fragile and vulnerable and exposed to either attacks or being collateral for any military action or blackouts or any situation that can externally affect its functioning and make it more prone to have a nuclear accident. The situation continues to be very fragile. Again, talking about negotiations, here again, the trilateral process, I don't know if you can call it a negotiation, but the trilateral process which is ongoing between the United States, the Russian Federation and Ukraine, I think very wisely has identified the situation in and around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as one that needs to be considered, if not separately, on its own, because of the safety, the security implications that it has. So we continue working with all sides, trying to at least keep the plant in a stable situation, avoid a nuclear accident.
Which is the thing that worries you more about Ukraine? What do you think can happen if something goes wrong?
Until we get to, at the very least, a ceasefire, let alone peace. We all hope for peace. We are working in that direction. but ceasefire, at the very least, should be a first stage in that process. So until we get to a ceasefire stage without having had a nuclear accident, I will continue to worry as the first day.
What do you think can happen, for example?
We can have a nuclear accident with a radiological release. If there is, for example, a complete stop on the cooling function of the plant, we can have a hit by a drone or by artillery or any other way on the fuel which is accumulated there, spent fuel or fresh fuel. So there is a lot of nuclear material accumulated in this area. So the sources of potential accidents is there, and we have to protect it and prevent it.
Closing this interview, let's discuss a little bit about your professional future. You have expressed your interest in the position of the General Secretary of the UN. Are you planning to take the necessary steps?
I am considering it very, very seriously. And this has to do, to a certain extent, with the things we discussed now. I think there is a role to be played by international organizations in a world that is confronting increasing levels of conflict and fragmentation. I do believe in the usefulness, I do believe in the necessity of having a UN, but a UN that matters, a UN that is involved in conflict resolution. This is why I'm seriously considering this, yes.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this discussion.
Thank you.